Hey everyone, it's John Pio, and this is MAMECADE episode 22, where we're covering Namco's 1994 sleeper arena fighting game, The Outfoxies. Now, if you're like me and you've never fulfilled your childhood dream of growing up to be a hired assassin, well, this game's for you. You see, the mysterious Mr. Acme has assembled 7 of the world's greatest killers, and you happen to be one of them. Which one is entirely up to you to select at the start of the game. The mission is to eliminate 7 of the world's greatest art collectors as well as the other 6 assassins. Each of the playable characters has his own style as well as some advantages and disadvantages. So let's take a look at the roster. John Smith, the down-on-his-luck hired gun who would do anything for a good barroom brawl and some cold hard cash. He has no special abilities besides growing a 3 o'clock shadow by 1 o'clock. Betty Doe, the beautiful international businesswoman whose previous resume included murder for hire. She is in desperate need of capital to save some of her failing businesses. She has no special abilities besides looking great in a business skirt while firing a machine gun. Bernard White, the brilliant biotech engineer who very unbrilliantly lost his hand in an experiment that went wrong, although to his credit he re-brilliantly attached a steel prosthetic hand to his wrist. He is the strongest but also the largest target. Eve, the has-been movie starlet who has turned to a life of crime rather than work in the porn industry to continue her lavish Hollywood lifestyle. With the aid of her devoted trained iguana, she's as deadly as a Michael Bay movie. Professor Ching, the Asian martial arts master who successfully trained his wheelchair to be a 3rd Dan black belt. He can deflect bullets with the back of his shiny metal ass. Dweeb, the only son of chimpanzee child star Mr. Happy, who's dedicated his simian life to eating bananas, killing people, and eating more bananas. Dweeb is the smallest target and can jump the highest. Danny and Demi, the psychopathic Siamese twin children who were unwittingly separated by a train crash. They are both highly intelligent as they are sinister and just flat out creepy. The Outfoxies uses a very interesting pixel scaling effect. As you and your opponent draw nearer to each other, the general area you're occupying zooms in, and when you move away, the zone zooms out, giving you a broader view of the battlefield. And the battlefield varies depending on who your opponent is and what weapons will be used in it. Weapons like swords, guns, grenades, flamethrowers, and a whole host of other things will be strewn about. If you hit your opponent, his weapon will be knocked out of his hand. The environment can also be deadly, so you always have to be looking out for broken glass, falling elevators, you name it. There's nothing that this game won't throw at you. At the top of the screen will be a health meter for you and your opponent, as well as a timer. Rather than having 3 lives like most games, your health meter is divided into 3 stages: green, yellow, and red. You start with the green health bar. If you sustain enough damage to drain it all, it'll be refilled with a yellow health bar without any pauses in the gameplay. For all intents and purposes, you've just lost life 1. Lose the yellow bar, and it turns to a full red one. You've lost life 2. And finally, if you lose the red bar, it's game over, unless of course you put a credit in to continue. If you and your opponent both have health bars when the timer runs out, the player with the most health is proclaimed the winner of the match. As much as the game is enjoyable to play, it really shines as a head-to-head versus a second human player. It's interesting also to note that the MAME ROMs are imperfect in the sound department. That is to say, no sound works at all if you're going to emulate this game. However, there is an audio CD of the Foxies music called Namco's Game Sound Express Volume 20. We're listening to one of those tracks off that CD right now that I've dubbed into the video, so we have a little bit of sound to hear how the game generally sounds like. A lot of the songs are very jazz-oriented, which is pretty cool for a game like this. Eventually you meet Mr. Acme, who's trying to double-cross you at the end of the game, only to discover it's his obese wife, Mrs. Acme, that's actually been pulling all the strings. So in true assassin form, the only thing you could do is assassinate them. And the way you do it is to blast them out of the sky. And in the true sense of the word Acme, a helicopter falls from the sky, crushing Mr. and Mrs. Acme. And Your player goes home with a boatload of money to spend however he or she wishes, and they're accompanied by some photographs of the player actually indulging in all that cash. The game was never ported to any home system, so the only way to play it is through MAME without the game sound, or of course if you find yourself an actual arcade version of it. That is Namco's The Outfoxies.